Afua Adom and Ferrari have joined us to discuss today's top stories. Good morning to both of you.
Good morning.
Nick here in the studio, Afua at home. Thank you for being here. So let's start off with this story, actually. Gary Lineker is having a refugee live with him. He says it will be fine. He says he's had lots of interaction with refugees through the football schemes over the past few years, and he's offering to help through a charity called Refugees at Home. He said it was the perfect time in his life because all his kids are grown up. He's got plenty of room. So what do you think of this?
Fantastic.
Yeah, good for him, right?
He is not the first among celebrities, journalists, politicians who've made this claim and who've said, yes, I'm ready. But he's the first I know that's followed through. And absolutely, Mr. Lineker's come under criticism for various matters, but to put your mansion or your house where your mouth is, absolutely fantastic. And let's hope more follow example. And I really hope it works, because this will be massively high profile. Yeah. We want to make sure it works for all parties. But it's one thing to walk the walk, it's to talk the talk. It's another to walk the walk. Well done, like Gary Lineker. Better than a hat-trick.
Fair.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. I so agree that this is brilliant that he's done this. You know, footballers get a lot of criticism, or they have got a lot of criticism for spending their money or the way they live a lavish lifestyle. But good for him for being an ex-footballer who's ready to step up to the plate and help someone else. Like Nick said, I really, really hope that it goes well, because this can be a prime example for other people to do the same thing. And also, like Nick said, it's great to see him walk the walk and actually help someone else, you know, help someone out who's in a really unfortunate situation. And I think this is brilliant. Well, really well done to him.
It comes as a record number of migrants. More than 400 crossed the English Channel in a single day, it was reported this morning. And it's easy to forget. We have tragic reminders every so often. It's easy to forget just how dangerous a crossing that is.
It really is easy to forget, you know, but we shouldn't forget the pictures of that poor drowned boy that we saw on the beach a few years ago. You know, we had some recent stories of a drowning quite recently in the past few weeks. It's such a dangerous crossing. And for people to do that, you know, we have to remember that they have to really want to escape such terrible conditions, to go through such a terrible, arduous journey to get to this country. It's a horrible crossing. It's so dangerous. And I think we need to definitely have much more compassion for these people who make that journey to come to this country. They're fleeing something terrible, going through something terrible, and we must show them much more kindness and compassion when they get here.
And Nick, if you've fallen in August, your chances are better than if you fall in November, January, February, you know, when it's so much colder. You've got minutes.
You have got minutes, and those are 407 you referenced at the top. Those are the ones that we know about. How many came here we don't know about? How many didn't actually get across the channel? And to your point, I know the weather's turned a little bit, but August, you have got a certain amount of... And it's the world's busiest shipping route, the world's busiest shipping route. This is how dangerous it is. And people in some instances are paying £2,000, £3,000, £5,000 for what's called a little rib, effectively a rubber boat, sometimes with a very old engine. As you rightly say, at the moment, they've got a bit of time in the water before the border force or the French authorities collect them. If this is still going on, and you and I were talking briefly now, this will still be going in October, because these people are desperate. They have minutes. Tragically, more people will perish. I honestly think the British government needs to look at putting centres to process people that side of the channel. So you build, for the purpose of debate, a centre in Boulogne, and people go there and they get processed and they don't risk their lives. That has to be a consideration for a way forward.
Absolutely. Let's move on to a different talking point now. The Sussexes, Harry and Meghan, have signed a deal with Netflix to make inspirational programmes. They have said they want to make inspirational family programmes that inform but also give hope. I mean, nobody knows how much this deal is worth. However, it has been reported. Experts in the industry have said it could be worth as much as £150 million. Were you surprised by this move, Nick, or did you think actually this was always on the cards?
I was surprised by some of the figures that were mentioned. I wasn't surprised because, let's face it, they enjoy as their neighbours people such as Oprah Winfrey, so they've got tremendous access. Look, it's very easy to, and my old trade, newspapers, are being negative. I want to look at this a slightly different way. We're hypercritical of this couple. If this actually means they earn some money, and never mind what the content is like, they start to repay Frogmore House, which is a great cause of anger in this country. They pay. If they now become not working royals, but if they become workers, that's great. I would imagine Prince Charles is probably looking at this thinking, well, I wish he'd stayed here, I wish he'd taken royal duties, but at least he's now focused and targeted, and good luck to him.
And if they're paying their own way, I mean, never have we got any right to comment on anybody, regardless of anything, really. But do you think that because they're paying their own way, that finally people will just back off a bit and let them live the life that they want to live?
I'd love to see them produce a documentary or film that actually went straight to the top or whatever and was acclaimed as a great piece of work, because that might just give the couple a chance. Now, whether they can do that is another matter, but let them work, let them earn the money, let them pay their bills, let them be as normal a couple as you can ever be if you're Prince Harry and Meghan.
Well, the thing is, Afia, that they've obviously both got their individual passions as far as charities are concerned, but they have limited knowledge in documentary production, and so they will be spearheading this thing, surely. There'll be people around them and they'll be out networking, getting the contacts, talking people into doing documentaries.
Oh, absolutely. But they've got the clout that people will want to work with them. You know, it's Harry and Meghan, and we know that Meghan does have some experience in TV. She's formerly an actress. Definitely, they'll be able to get the right teams around them to be able to make this great content. I think that whatever they do, people will find criticism for it. Whether they make a brilliant Netflix documentary that goes to #1 in the charts, there will be some people who will find something to moan about, who will find something wrong with it. But I think this is brilliant. I think it was definitely to be expected. I think we can expect more things from them in this vein. You know, a Netflix deal, a Spotify deal, it's kind of the modern day book deal now. So this is brilliant to see from them, and I can't wait to see what content they come up with.
Well, another story here to finish off with. The BBC had announced last Monday that Rule Britannia and The Land of Hope and Glory would not be sung, but rather new orchestral versions of the anthems would be played instead. Now the BBC have gone back on that decision following an outcry from members of the British public, and the Prime Minister, Boris Johnson, said that songs will be sung on the night, last night at the Proms, on September the 12th. It all seems, Afia, I mean, I don't know what you believe here, what you think, but, what an unnecessary week for them.
I couldn't have put it better myself. This whole story is a big distractor. It's a distraction from the fact that the BBC is completely out of touch when it comes to representation and diversity. We should have been talking about the fact that the N-word was allowed to be broadcast on the BBC not once but twice. We should have been concentrating on the fact that on-air talent will quit because the N-word was broadcast, and then we had a weak apology that came from the Director General, and we should be talking about the fact that we've had features written by ex-BBC journalists that are both Black and Asian talking about the systemic racism and how out of touch the BBC are when it comes to diversity and representation. Instead, we've been talking about the Land of Hope and Glory. It's a complete distraction, and it's completely unnecessary.
I think the BBC... I hear what you say, Afua. I think to suggest the BBC has systemic racism... The report to which you refer was wholly wrong, and they have apologised. I think systemic racism is taking a little bit far, but let's praise this...
I think unless you're a Black journalist who works in the BBC, I think you're not placed to talk about the racism that takes place in the BBC unless you're a Black journalist that works in the BBC.
But what we can say is the new Director General imposed for just 48... imposed when he took this decision for 48 hours. I sense it clearly, to your point, he's more in touch with what Britain is looking for and what has to be seen as wrong. As Trevor Phillips said, the commentator Trevor Phillips, this decision was taken by white guys panicking in a room in central London, and the representation of other people and other geographical areas has to take place within the BBC, because I don't think the people of Hartlepool and Redcar were worried about the lyrics of Rule Britannia. I really don't.
But there will be, and it is a very influential group of tweeters who have an increasingly more powerful say and can actually tip an opinion because of this.
But
because it makes white men in rooms in central London panic.
But to Afua's point, where she's absolutely right, they did a poll was done at the weekend. More than 80% of people wanted to retain the lyrics to Rule Britannia, and only 8%, that's less than 1 in 10, had an issue with it. Remember, the BBC exists because we fund it. It is publicly funded. It has to be in touch with more of the views of the public, irrespective of skin colour, irrespective of geography. It has to reflect all of that as it goes forward under what a boss, I would imagine, actually, it's a great call by him, so you've got to wish him well.
So, just finally, Afua, the U-turn first major decision made by, as Nick was saying, the new BBC Director General Tim Davie. Do you have a better hope for the future of the broadcasting organisation now?
Well, I think we've got to a point where people are more willing to speak out about what's happening within organisations. I would hope that we have people who are more receptive to that and are more willing to listen about the changes that need to be made. You know, like I said, it's about diversity and representation, but it's not just about being black or brown. It's about the BBC being able to represent the whole of the United Kingdom, from Orkney right down to Plymouth and everybody in between. And that is something that really, really needs to be done by the BBC. So I'm hoping that the new Director General will take that on board and do something about that.
Thank you. Thank you. Great to talk to both of you today. Thank you.